Hello everybody, in this video I will talk about Python identity operator. It is a new operator in Python. It has two functions. One is to check whether two object references is pointing to same memory location or not. And number two is to check whether two data types are same or not. But there is a difference in result in Python IDLE and Microsoft Visual Studio Code. I will run the code in both of the editor and I will show you the difference. There are two identity operators in Python, is and is not. Is returns true if two object references is pointing to same memory locations, or in other words, two memory addresses are same. But before that, let's see what happens when we create an object. First, let's see in Python IDLE. For example, I am creating an object x equals to 10. So what is happening here? Python is creating an object with the value 10. And this x is just pointing to this memory location. That is, x is called the object reference. Object reference is nothing but a pointer which points to a memory location. And there is an address of this memory location. And we can see this address with the command id. So id of x. Now see, this is the address of this memory location. And we can create another object with the same value, 10. Y equals to 10. Now we can also check the address of this memory location. Now see, id of y. Now see the address? These addresses are same. So what is happening here? For the same value, Python will not create any different object. Here x and y is pointing to same memory location. And here with this address, we are verifying that both the object references are pointing to same memory locations or not. Here comes the is operator. With the is operator, we can check whether two memory locations are same or not. That is, two addresses are same or not. For example, type x is y. Now see, it is true. That means that two object references x and y are pointing to same memory location. And in other words, two addresses are same. That is, we don't have to use the id command to verify two addresses are same or not. Now let's see another example. For example, if I create an object x equals to 1000 and y equals to 1000 also. Now let's check with the is operator. For example, x is y. Now let's see, it is showing false. But what is the reason? I am giving the same value. Actually, what is happening in Python IDLE, Python creates a buffer with the range of -5 to 256. And if we create any object with the value within this range, Python will not create any object. But if we create any object outside this range, Python will always create a different object. And we can verify with the id command also. Type id of x and type id of y. Now see, this is two different objects. Two different address means two different objects. That is, I am giving a value outside that range, -5 to 256. So Python is creating a different object. And we can check for negative number also. X equals to -6. I am creating an object outside that range. And y equals to -6. Now check once again. X is y. Now see, it is also showing false. That is, -6 is outside that range. So Python is creating a different object. See the id also. id of x. This is the address. And id of y. Now see, these are two different addresses. So it is proof that if we create any object outside that range, -5 to 256, Python will create a different object. It is the case of Python IDLE. In case of string also, we will get a different result in case of Python IDLE. Now let's see. Suppose I am creating an object x equals to xyz and y equals to xyz also. Two string objects. Now let's verify x is y. Now see, it is displaying true. That is, these are two same memory location. And create another object. For example, x equals to ab and space cd. and y equals to also AB and space CD. Now let's check x is y. Now see, it is showing false. So what is happening? If I give a space in a string, then Python is creating a different object. And if I not give any space, then Python will reuse the same memory location. It is also a peculiar behavior in case of Python ideally, which will not happen in the case of Visual Studio Code. Now I am in Visual Studio Code. I am creating two objects with these large values. Now let's see what happens. Now let's run the code. Now see that it is showing true. Then what is happening here? Actually, for immutable objects, Python will not create any different object for any values. Here I am taking integer numbers, and integer is immutable. So Python will not create any different object. And you can check for negative number also. Put a negative sign. And let's see, I am clearing this. Now let's see what happens. And now see, it is also true. That is, for immutable objects, for any value, Python will not create any different object. And you can also check the address also. For example, type print and give the id command, id of x, and copy this and id of y. Now let's see what happens. Now run the code. Now see that two addresses are same. That means two objects are same. This is the utility of is operator. We are checking whether two addresses are same or not. Now let's see other immutable objects. For example, take a string x equals to AB space CD. I am taking the previous example. And y equals to also AB space CD. Now let's run it. Now let's see what happens. Now see, it is showing true, and addresses are also same. That means that for string, because it is immutable, Python will not create any different object. And it is proving using the id command and is operator. We are checking whether the addresses are same or not. Now let's take a tuple, and tuple is immutable, we know. Now take a tuple, x equals to suppose 12, 34, any value you can take. And here also 12, 34. I am taking a small tuple. Now let's see what happens. Now run the code. Now see, it is showing true, and addresses are also same. That means for immutable object, Python will not create any different object. Now let's see frozen set. For example, take a frozen set, x equals to frozen set of, I am taking a tuple, suppose 12, 45, and copy this value, y equals to also frozen set of 12, 45, the same value. Now save it and run the program. Now see, it is showing false. So in case of frozen set, it will create a different object for the same value also. This is the exceptional case. Now let's see mutable object. For example, take a list, x equals to, in square bracket, type some value, 12, 34 for example, and y equals to also 12, 34. Now let's run it. Now see, it is showing false. That is, in Python, for every mutable object, Python will always create a different object for same value also. And we can use is operator directly with the objects without assigning them in a variable. Now let's see. For example, type print and take two number, 12 is 12. So what I want to do here, I want to check whether the address of this first 12 is equal to address of the second 12 or not. Now let's run it and see what happens. Now see, it is showing true, and it is also giving a warning, syntax warning, that is with a literal. And did you mean double equal to? So what Python is thinking, Python is assuming that I want to check two values, not two addresses, and I should use double equal to in place of is. So that's why Python is giving this warning. But don't worry about this warning. Python is comparing two addresses. And we can check using mutable object also. For example, take a list 12, 34 and take the same list 12, 34. And I am clearing the output and let's run it and see what happens. Now see, this time it is showing false because Python is comparing two addresses, not to values. And you can use double equal to operator to verify again. Now use double equal to this time and clear the output. Now let's see what happens. Run it. And this time it is showing true. That is, this time it is comparing two values, not two addresses. So it is showing true. So be careful with the use of double equal to and is operator. Double equal to always compares to values and is operator compares to addresses. So this is the difference between is and double equal to operator. Remember that. And second use of is operator is to check whether two data types are same or not. Now let's see. For example, type print and type of, suppose take a number 100 and is int. So here we want to check that the type of the number 100 is int or not. Now let's run it. Now see, it is showing true. That is, the type of the number 100 is int. Now let's take another example. Suppose take a list and type 12, 34 and we want to check that type of this object is list or not. Now run it. Now see, once again it is true. That is, type of this object is list. So this is the another use of is operator. And the last use of is operator is to compare an object with none. None is a built-in object in Python which represents null. Now let's see. For example, store none in X. Now type print and type X is none. Now let's run it. Now see, it is showing true. That is, we are comparing X with none. So these are all the use cases of is operator in Python. And finally, we can also use is not operator to compare that two addresses are unequal or not. For example, in the same example, just use is not to verify whether the addresses are unequal or not. Now let's run it. Now see, it is showing true this time because the addresses of these two lists are unequal. So that's all about is operator. That is identity operator. Identity operator in Python always compares two addresses. I hope that you have understood what is the use of is operator. If you have any query, write in the comment section and I will answer you. So this was the today's video. In the next video, we will see membership and logical operator. So stay with us and please subscribe my channel for the next videos. Thank you very much for watching.